Music. The great uniter. The universal communicator. The sole force in this world capable of overcoming all barriers to bring any two people together. Me. A dumb little computer science student that doesn't know shit about any of that. But music is a passion of mine, and while it may not be often, I do like to take music classes when I can work them in. So when a friend and I started writing some songs together over the summer, a course called Careers in Music seemed like an obvious must-take course, and our big semester-long assignment for this class is to interview a music industry professional with significant experience in our chosen field, and then write a 6-page single-spaced report on that interview. Thanks, Dr. Miller. Normally in this situation, I would default to asking my cousin who gigs locally, but seeing as we had just finished talking about networking, I decided to go out on a limb, take the chance, and ask one of my favorite bands, Dreadlight. And now I gotta be honest with you. I was not expecting a response at all. As soon as I emailed them, I was working out if I needed to follow up, how to handle the rejection, when to start asking my cousin. But to my surprise, I got an email back the next day. And they were down.
We're, Toria.
We're Dreadlight.
We're Toria.
We are Toria. And Kandra. I'm sure you know that.
Alright, a couple disclaimers. 1. I am not a professional interviewer. I was nervous and awkward as shit throughout this whole thing, and it shows. You have my blessings to rip me apart for it. 2. If it randomly cuts to me when you think it shouldn't, it shouldn't. Apparently I don't know how to hit record in OBS, and all I've got is the Zoom recording, and apparently I laugh too loud when I'm nervous, and it thinks I'm talking, so that's what you got.
And now, our feature presentation.
I figured a good place to start would be how I learned about you guys, which was when you got that shout out on Instagram from Dan.
And they're making music that reminds me so much of the Seattle scene stuff that I grew up listening to and I loved so much. But I think their music has an energy and a passion to it that I haven't heard in a while.
That really did a lot.
Yeah, it helped us a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna, was there a noticeable spike in new fans from
For
that?
sure.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, there was a moment. The way I found out that we got the shout out, I saw a bunch of Instagram notifications, so many new followers back to back, and Toria texted me, she's like, dude, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know, what's going on?
We're getting so many new followers, what happened?
It was crazy, definitely noticeable.
Sidetrack real quick before I follow that back up.
Okay.
You guys originally released a self-titled EP, and the songs in that are now on different EPs.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
Similar story for your second EP. So, as you were working towards finishing that album, did you decide to take those first EPs down to replace them with what's up now?
That's such a... You've really done your research.
I was up very late last night.
We originally did that first EP before we had a plan for how we were going to release everything. We had a collection of songs and we didn't know which ones we wanted to have out. There's several that didn't make the cut. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that EP.
We weren't we weren't really happy with how it turned out, really.
Yeah, we weren't stoked on our job engineering it, and just the way it sounded in general didn't feel like it did justice to the songs. So we ended up re-recording all those songs and then coming up with a plan to basically do an album but then split it up into 3 different EPs.
I totally forgot about that.
What songs were on that? Cross Out,
Grenadine, and
One Blade? No.
One Blade.
Tell me how.
What songs were on that? I don't even remember.
I don't remember.
It was in the ether.
Yeah.
I can find it.
Is it still there?
I found a dead link to it.
Oh.
Wow, deep diving.
A dead link. A dread link.
Oh, you're fired. I'm getting a new guitar player.
it had Grenadine, Cross Out, and Tell Me How.
Oh, yep, yeah.
You know, and I was really happy actually with my vocals on the last, like right before the last chorus of One Blade. Not One Blade.
Really?
Was it
You
One-
remember that?
Yeah, or not One Blade.
Grenadine?
Cross Out. There's a section in Cross Out
Oh,
where you over the bridge,
okay.
and I'm screaming your chorus in the background, and I was so stoked with those vocals. They're gone
Yeah.
now. Dead.
So did you guys find that deciding to split it up into 3 separate releases worked better for you?
Yes, for multiple reasons. I think with the way the music business is now, EPs and like small releases tend to do better than like full albums. Like we'd love to release like a full album someday, just because that's always been like, you know, that's a musician's dream. But just for like, you know, getting the hype going online, it's a lot easier to do it in like chunks, because you have like something constantly being released more than just like an album
Yeah.
for like
one
the
big
whole year or
flop.
something.
Yeah.
And it was also better for our budget as well, because we can space it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Definitely from like the fans' perspective, like every time I was like, man, a new set of songs would be cool. It's like, new EP coming out.
Yeah. Yes.
Now going back to the shout out, when that happened, there was only 4 songs up on Spotify at the time. So did you feel that there was like pressure either to put the next set out faster or to maybe spend more time on it and like polish it more?
Good question.
Oh, boy.
We kind of had a rough plan for when we were going to release things, and we had those recorded already and kind of ready to go. I think we had some finishing touches, maybe. I can't remember. But yeah, we kind of had a loose plan, and actually we were intending to release Limbo, our first EP, after the other 2, and then release Grenadine along with that later. But we kind of randomly got in touch with Dan, and when that happened, we were like, you know, I feel like Grenadine could do really well, and since his eyes are on this now, maybe it would be good to release that first. So that's how Limbo ended up getting released first, which is not what you asked.
Did we share a video with him, or like a rough?
Yeah, we shared a rough version of
Right.
Grenadine music video.
And
I
we were
think.
like, we gotta get this one out first.
Yeah.
What was the question?
Since when he gave you guys that shout out, you only had 4 songs up. Did you have like some pressure to like change the release schedule of the next set?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we definitely wanted to like get it going soon, because we had like, you know, a new following, and like
Yeah.
Dan was excited about it.
A lot more eyes on what we were doing.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was more motivating, I think, than pressure, though.
Yeah. It was exciting. It was
Yeah,
really exciting.
Definitely.
And was it like meaningful to you guys to get like that kind of recognition from someone that already has like an established fan base?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. I still think it's crazy, and that was years ago now. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it was so long ago. But he's worn our shirt on his show a couple times on Game Grumps, and like that is so crazy.
Yeah.
Like anytime
Oh,
I see that,
I forgot
I'm
about that.
like, I touched that.
We made that shirt.
It's crazy. It's really, really wild.
Why did you group up the songs on the EPs the way you did?
Good question. We spent a long time hashing that out and figuring out what would go where. And it all had to do with the vibe of the title of the EP. So for Dawn, which is the last EP, yes, that's correct. Undead is on there, and that's a song that I feel like doesn't really match the other 2 entirely, WWR and Real. I feel like it has a very different vibe, but that whole concept for that in our minds was this idea of awakening. And especially Undead being the last song, it kind of fit with our feelings about the theme, I guess. And also a lot of the songs, you know, you can't put 2 songs together if they sound too similar, or you can't put them back to back, or like if they're in the same key, we try to avoid that. So there were some like logistical hoops we had to jump through when deciding what to put where. But after that process, figuring out what can't go where, then it was, you know, what fits with the vibe of each thing. And Dusk is kind of more of a pop rocky kind of sunsetty kind of vibe.
Rose-colored glasses.
Rose-colored glasses. And then, yeah, Limbo. What's on Limbo? Cross Out, Grenadine.
And Zero.
And Zero. Yeah, and those all, I don't even know how to put it into words. I can't remember the words we used to use to describe it.
Yeah, it was supposed, all three of them were supposed to just be like a journey through hard times and like self-discovery. I think like Limbo was supposed to be more of like you know, being in a dark place.
More intense.
And then Dusk was supposed to be like, I feel like we kind of use the words like a superficial rose-colored glasses, kind of like, oh, everything's fine and it's okay. And then Dawn was supposed to be like, yeah, naivety. And then Dawn was supposed to be like a true like awakening and like a humbling of like, you know, rebirth and realizing that things are shit sometimes, but that's okay.
Yeah, like finding power in that.
And whether that really made it through very much, who knows?
But that's how we categorized it in our minds.
Yeah.
In the modern age, an artist's discoverability really has become like what their presence is on social media. Do you guys feel the need that artists should have like a social media strategy, and do you have one that you follow?
It would really benefit us if we had a strategy at all. I think it's really helpful, but our strategy right now is post as much as you can, and like that is just overwhelming, and then it never happens. So a strategy of posting frequently is good.
Yeah, because like we have noticed, like, yeah, you get more interaction with people if you post more often, but we're so bad at it.
Yeah, captions are hard. Like,
no, they are.
So it's a whole thing. Like, we have a backlog of photos we could post and like show photos and like all kinds of stuff, but then it's like, you know, you get it all edited and ready to go, and then you're sitting at the caption stage and you're like, I just don't know what
I want to say the same thing over and over.
New stuff coming soon. Yeah. New stuff coming soon. We promise.
Hang in there, guys.
We promise there's stuff happening.
You guys had an interview where you said that press is hard and not to be surprised when they don't respond to your emails, but there's got to be a turning point somewhere, because you have top artists that have the press coming to them hoping for a response. Right. So where do you guys think that turning point is at, and how close do you think you are to hitting it?
Wow.
Oh,
great
boy.
question.
I don't know.
Yeah, it really depends. I think, like, there's a lot of things that as a young artist, as a little baby artist, you have to really work for, and you have to accept a lot of no's. And over time, I think some of those things have come to us. Like, we get a lot more show opportunities. We don't have to like hunt down gigs as much anymore. I can't imagine a day when the press will come to us. I don't know.
I mean, we've gotten some offers for like sponsored posts and stuff in the past, which has been pretty new. That's just been in the past like 6 months. And yeah, it really depends on what and who and when, you know, like, cause yeah, like the show thing, like when we were first starting out, like we like created an entire list of like, okay, here are all the venues in our area. This is the contact. This is the capacity of the room and stuff. And, you know, these are artists that are playing that might need an opener, you know, and we just like methodically go through and like contact all these places and like get maybe one email back. But definitely as we've grown, like, you know, it's easier to get into doors, you know, like we'll contact a venue and they'll be like, yeah, you can open for this band, you know. Whereas before it'd be like no email back.
Yeah, at all.
Or like Kandra was saying, you know, getting show opportunities, like people reaching out to us and being like, hey, do you want to jump on the bill for this?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're kind of somewhere in a little bit before the middle.
A little bit before the middle.
Of like where, you know, because we're not getting like a ton of like press offers and stuff like that, but they're like slowly rolling in. more than before.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think making a name around town has really helped us with that. I've actually met a few people that are like, oh, Dreadlight, that's cool. Yeah, like I've heard of you guys, or I heard that you played with whoever, and like, or a woman came to our show and she was like, oh my God, I had no idea it was you. I have one of your songs on my playlist. That's so cool. So building a name has really helped us a lot, and I think over time, just doing more of that's going to be really what it takes to get there.
So even with those press struggles, have you guys been happy with your growth so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the shout out was huge, and we're still kind of riding the wave off of that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard not to like, you know, for me, hard not to like take it for granted. Like, oh yeah, we have all these people now, like, you know, realizing that like, you know,
there's still a grind. Yeah, there's still a long way to go. It's an uphill battle.
Yeah, totally.
And like we got a huge gift from that shout out, and like a lot of people and a lot more eyes that we would not have gotten otherwise. So yeah, it's been nice to kind of coast on that, but it is a grind.
Yeah, I don't know how often you guys check your numbers, but just to give some perspective, when I sent that first email, which was like 3-ish weeks ago, on Spotify you were at like 24K monthly listeners, and I checked this morning and you're at 32.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah, it's weird because like it definitely fluctuates, and like I feel like I don't check it. Like I have a vague idea of like the numbers, but like I'll check it and I'll be surprised. I'm like, oh, that's higher than I expected, or that's lower than I expected. So like,
try not to get too hung up on it.
Yeah, like it fluctuates, and like it's really hard to believe because it's like
I know
we interact with like a fraction of those people. It's like where are all of them?
Yeah,
you know?
Come to our Instagram.
Yeah, there's 32,000 of you.
Yeah, it's gotta be weird just like seeing the number and like trying to like actually imagine like those are all a person, like each one
human
of those
beings. That's crazy. Filling a room with all those people.
Yeah.
Oh, COVID.
I saw this post the other day that was really put into perspective, like, you know, the difference between like social media and like real life. Like someone was like, it was like a bakery or something that made a reel, and they were like, I know this might only get like 30 views, but if 30 people stopped by, I'd be overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you know, it's a lot of people can interact with you, and like any number is really cool.
Yeah.
So that was
my God. Cool. Yeah, 30 people would scare me. Jeez.
Yeah, just add an extra like factor of 10,000, you know?
Oh boy.
Spotify is infamous for paying artists, and especially smaller ones, to put it nicely, like shit. And, you know, even without that, it's already important that you set up multiple streams of income. And you guys have done that with things like, you know, your merch, ticket sales to live performances. Do you have any other forms of income related to your music, and how big of a role do those additional streams play?
I don't think we have any other reoccurring things. We have a couple things where, you know, a song will get into a show and they'll pay us a one-time payment. And that's been really nice, but it's definitely not what pays the bills. I mean, Spotify doesn't pay the bills either. But, gosh.
Yeah, merch. And then
merch is big.
Sometimes, so my family owns a retirement home, and we'll play music for them sometimes and get money. Your little acoustic set. That's like where it all started.
It is, yeah.
And then we both still have like other work that we do. Like I DoorDash, and like I work for my family.
Yeah, I paint for my family.
Yeah.
Paint houses. I'm still covered in paint currently.
Still definitely trying to get to the point where we can actually, you know, live off of music.
Yeah.
That was actually going to be my next question, is if you had that point yet.
Beat you to the punch.
So, do you guys still handle the merch like on your own? Because when I bought the shirt, it came with this nice little handwritten note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool to get.
Oh,
I was not expecting that at all.
Oh yeah, we love doing that. I think that's super important. Yeah, we do all the merch ourselves. We have like a little screen printer that we made, and we just buy bulk shirts and like do everything ourselves, except for the beanies. We ordered them, but we still like have all our merch.
Hand embroidering all those beanies?
Oh gosh.
I'm not that good. Yeah, all of ourselves.
So how has the loss of the ability to play as many live shows from COVID affected you guys?
At first, it was like, okay, well, we'll take this opportunity and write a ton and record a ton, and then before we know it, shows will be back. And it's crazy now to think that like a year and a half has gone by, almost.
Yeah, something like that.
And yeah, we've played 2 shows, maybe?
Like
which
that,
is
yeah.
wild. And also, I wish I had been more productive in terms of writing. We do have, a lot of stuff that we're currently working on, and like a whole bunch of new music on, behind the scenes. But in general, we used to only want to do shows once a month or once every 2 months. Anyways, we like to space it out more because for a while we were doing sometimes 4 shows a week.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, the burnout is crazy.
Yeah.
And also just trying to bring a crowd that many times is really hard. So I think in some ways it's kind of good now that we're easing back into it, to have them more spaced out and have it still feel natural. Because it's kind of what we want to do anyways. What do you think?
For me, there's definitely been times where I forgot I was even a musician. I'm just like, oh, I play guitar. I should probably brush up on that. And I still feel like I'm trying to get back into the role of it. Like, I'm like, did I know how to play this at one point? So getting all the rust off is a process, and it's still a process. And just staying on top of it has been hard, because it's just it's easy to forget about when you don't have a show going on. We'll do recording and stuff, but it's different.
Yeah.
The energy you have to bring to playing and singing live.
And also having smaller crowds while playing live now, and everyone with masks, brings a different energy. It's hard to read the vibe when there's 10 people and you can't see half their faces. But yeah, nonetheless, it's been exciting.
Yeah.
Thinking about getting back into it.
Definitely.
Do you guys ever struggle with writer's block?
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I feel like I haven't written a song in so long. We have a backlog of ideas that we piece together, and that's been how we've worked lately.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely struggle with the writer's block. It's hard to get into the mindset, because everything we've released has been things that we've written over years. And when inspiration struck, and then putting it all together for releases. But now that it's a business, it's just trying to force that inspiration to a business mindset is something that is hard to
it kills it kills the magic a lot of the time. And I went to school for music for I was there for 6 years, and that, it's the same kind of thing. Knowing that you have to write something makes you not want to write something. And for me personally, I have written some songs recently, and I am starting to kind of shed this writer's block that I've had for a long time. But a lot of the stuff that I end up writing is really Taylor Swifty. It's singer-songwriter, love songs on guitar. Definitely not Dreadlight stuff. So that's kind of been hard too. And also trying to figure out what I can bend into a Dreadlight song, and what I should just let be. And not forcing it's hard, because then you don't do anything. So you got to do something.
Finding the balance between, inspiration and trying to make it your job.
Yeah.
So you guys feel like you've locked yourself into a sound then? This is what Dreadlight sounds like, and this is what a Dreadlight song has to be, and you can't experiment with that?
In some ways, yeah, and in some ways, hell no. I feel there's definitely there's definitely a lot of songs I write that are not Dreadlight, and there's no like criteria really that they have to fit in order to be a Dreadlight song. It's just something you feel in your gut. Because I mean, we do have some songs that are on ukulele, and we still consider them Dreadlight songs. We haven't released them, but we have some silly things and some softer, more acoustic things, and those are still Dreadlight. But I definitely feel also that we have a lot more evolutions to go through, and we have a lot of exciting things that we want to try and to incorporate into our music in the future. And it's been really important to us that we don't ever feel stuck in something. I think the only way that we will keep that inspiration that we were talking about is knowing that we have the freedom to grow and to keep changing and to try new things and you know, maybe release some album that's totally different than the other things and come back to it, and that freedom is why I do it.
Yeah.
You know?
The possibilities. And like there's so many times where I'll hear a song and I'll be like, that's so cool, like I want to do something like that with like this kind of instrument. And like, yeah, that's super inspiring. But it's also hard because like when I actually sit down to write, I feel like it's hard to, you know, get out of the box that like you're used to. And I think maybe, I don't know if that's just a me thing, but like when I sit down to write a guitar part, I'll often be like, oh, I've written something like that before, or like this sounds just like everything else, you know, and I'm trying to like do something different. So like, yeah, I think definitely doing new things is always super exciting to us, however and whenever we get there.
Yeah, because in one of the Instagram Q&A that you guys did, someone asked if you could add any instrument to the band, what would you add? And you guys said synth and harp. Is that still something you want to experiment with?
Wait, what was the second one?
Harp.
Harp.
I think I said that.
Oh.
I can't remember. I always wanted to play harp as a kid.
I think harp would be pretty cool.
I don't know how to incorporate it, but like if we could, that'd be sick.
I can
harp.
send you a video. I saw someone ran a harp through like a heavy distortion pedal. It sounds awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Send it to us. That's so cool.
That's so cool.
Synth for sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of our covers have a lot of synth in them. And a lot of the stuff that we're gonna do in the future is gonna have a lot of synth. That's something we've definitely been talking about incorporating more. It's kind of hard to do it live because we really value it being mainly the two of us and then a drummer. I mean, for a long time we played without a drummer at all and just used drum tracks. But it's hard to bring somebody else into the Dreadlight family, and it's I don't know. We're really feeling very set with our live show setup, so it's kind of hard to think about incorporating that without doing just backing tracks, which we're trying to get away from. But for recording, for sure. And I'd love to figure out a way to do harp.
Harp would be cool.
Yeah.
I do not remember you saying harp.
I don't know.
Do you guys find like doing covers to be kind of like a liberating experience from having to write a song up from scratch?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, it's great.
It's so fun, especially because like it's so fun to turn it into like our style, you know, like kind of like taking, like I don't know, like what's some songs we've done recently?
We did Dead Horse.
Dead Horse.
We did the Hex Girl song.
Good for You.
We did Good for You. We did that Christmas song.
Just like turning them into our style is super fun and exciting, and it feels like not just like a cover. You know, it feels like this is like
one of our babies now.
Yeah, it's like we've
a little
changed
adopted
this.
baby.
Yeah.
I feel like that also kind of helps us understand our sound more too, because it's not just about the writing of the song and the structure of the song, but it's about, you know, the style we bring to it and the instrumentation and the attitude we bring. So I think that has taught us a lot too.
For sure.
In one of your guys' Q&As, you talked about that when you first started writing music together, like you'd be reluctant to share things because you're worried that the other person might not like it, but now you can just openly share everything with each other. And then in a similar vein to that, you know, a lot of creative people, they'll put something out that they're really proud of, and then like 2 days later they'll look back on it like, oh, this is dog shit. I could have done this better. I should have done this, this, and this. Is that a problem that you guys still have, or does having someone that you have to share the work with through the process kind of diminish that?
What a great question.
Oh. I feel like I've never thought about that, but I feel like it totally does, because, you know, I've done school projects that have been like, I'd have to like write a song and I'll be like, oh, this is silly. But I feel like I don't really feel that with us, because it's like, it is, because it's such a collaborative effort and you kind of always have somebody to bounce ideas off of. You kind of get that reassurance like the whole way.
Or the rejection that you need if it's a bad idea. Yeah. Get that early on before you share it with the world. And I mean, I still get like anxious about showing you things. Like, of course, I'm a human being, you know, and especially if it's something I really care about. But I know that, like, I don't know, we've developed such a good friendship and such a good partnership that even if it's really bad, like, you're not gonna be like, oh, that's awful, like, I can't believe I'm in a band with you. Like, no. You're gonna tell me what you think of it and why you think of that and what the good parts are, and like, we'll go from there, you know, and if it's usable, we'll use it. But yeah, I haven't ever felt like there's something that we've released that I felt cringy about in the end, except for like, you know, little things like, oh, I wish I'd recorded this differently, or I wish I'd added this harmony in here, or I wish I'd, you know, edited this a little better, but it's not really like the fundamentals of the song.
Our old SoundCloud is a different story.
Oh, yeah, old SoundCloud's bad. It's private.
Sometimes we go down there just for fun and we're like, oh boy.
We've come a long way.
Just out of curiosity, like, if you had to guess, what percentage of like the concepts or demos that you come up with actually survive to the end of the writing process?
Wow.
Concepts and demos.
You know, I think a lot of them.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I share that aren't really even meant to be Dreadlight stuff, or I don't know. I'm like, I have this piece of an idea, and so we incorporate that into here. But I think in general, I mean, there's not a lot that, let's say, hits the chopping block. What's the phrase?
Gets the chopping block?
Gets the chopping block, I think. I don't know. Except for Ghost Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a song that almost made it onto the EPs. We were in the studio. We record everything at home, and then we take it into the studio for drums and for mixing. And we got into the studio for drums with the song. And we just tried to bring it to life as much as we could, and like it just couldn't. So
it was so dead.
It was so dead. Yeah.
Which makes sense. It's Ghost Man.
Ghost Man. Yeah.
But I have hundreds of like demos on my phone and on like the cloud and stuff. That's just kind of how my writing process is, though, because it's like I don't expect every one of them to be good. I'm just like hoping for like something.
That's so good, because I have the opposite problem where I will not write it unless I know it's gonna be good. And so if I start writing something and I feel like it's not like perfect, I won't record it, I'll forget about it and move on. So I don't even count those as ideas.
Oh, well, and for me, it's just like, none of these are like, have lyrics or melodies. Like, most of them are just like little noodles on guitar.
Right, that's good. I mean, it's good that you're like actually doing things, though.
I mean, these are like, you know, 4 years worth. There's like maybe 100.
Wow.
But yeah, I'd say for those, only a very small percentage do I bring. Otherwise, there's actually been a couple though too that like I'll go through and I'll be like, hey, this matches with something that we're doing now. So then we'll like Frankenstein some like pieces together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you guys first started off in music, did you have any like expectations of what working in music would be like that were just completely wrong?
Wow, I can't even remember back then. Yeah, I guess as a kid, my biggest thing, I already mentioned Taylor Swift once. How many times am I going to talk about Taylor Swift? But I idolized her, and like I wanted to be, you know, this star on the stage in a sparkly dress and like have a ton of energy and like a ton of attitude. And oh my gosh, I have so much stage fright. It's really hard. And I love performing live. I love the feeling afterwards. I like, bringing the songs to life, and I like sharing that with people. But performing live is terrifying for me. It's really hard. And even driving up to every gig, I'm like, I could just turn around and go home. I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
No one's forcing me to do this.
This little panic.
Yeah, a little panic every
show.
time. And I didn't expect that. I know that's not exactly like working in the industry necessarily explicitly, but
It's part of it.
yeah, that's part of it. And that's my biggest, incorrect preconceived notion, I guess, that it's just going to be wonderful and I'm going to be a star up there and it's going to go smooth. Like, I've messed up a lot too, and that haunts me.
I feel like I started off knowing the stage fright thing because we joined band projects, and so I knew that being on stage was a part of that, and I was like, I know I'm gonna be scared, but I gotta do this because of music. And I think what I didn't expect going forward was all the business parts of it.
Oh yeah.
Forming a business legally, and figuring out
don't bother.
the details with banking and all the emails.
Good thing we haven't dealt with taxes yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
no.
getting to the threshold where we need to start thinking about that. But just most of the business side that goes along with wanting to make music and make money as a musician. I didn't really quite think about that or grasp what that really entails.
Yeah.
And how much time would be focused on that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Have you guys found a way to combat the stage fright, or is it kind of just to push through it every time?
I have a lot of little tricks that I use, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. This is really embarrassing, but sometimes we sing the Victorious theme song before we perform.
That's not embarrassing, come on!
Backstage, here I am once again. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. I think just pretending that all of the anxiety is excitement, that sometimes helps. And also remembering that the biggest thing that's helped me is remembering that these people at our shows are here because they want to be entertained, not because they want to see us be incredible musicians or not forget all the words. If you forget the words, that's okay, as long as you still have fun and make it a show, right? They don't care. They just want to have a good time. And I can make that happen. So it doesn't really matter if I mess up. The biggest thing that I struggle with is feeling scared of messing up, and then that makes me anxious, which then makes me mess up, which then makes me anxious, and then makes me mess up more. It's a big vicious cycle. So just stopping that ahead of its tracks, it's really hard, but it helps.
I just pretend that either this is my last day on earth and
Oh yeah.
and I'm excited to be doing music one last time, or I'd be there are a million worse things that I could be doing or feeling right now. At least I'm not dying. I'm gonna go back home to my bed afterwards.
Right.
It'll all be fine.
Sometimes this is a similar, but also maybe more intense. Sometimes I pretend I'm already dead, and it doesn't matter if I mess up. There's no consequences to looking like a fool. It doesn't matter. I'm just here to have fun. Which is really intense for doing what I love to do. Right?
Yeah, we're musicians.
So do you guys think that you'd still be working in music if you hadn't done band project?
Oh, good question. No.
No.
I definitely wouldn't. I didn't even know that I really liked music. I played guitar a little bit beforehand, and I would sing Taylor Swift, Third Time's a Charm. But I didn't think I could actually do anything with it, and I didn't know how to collaborate. I didn't want to collaborate, and I also didn't want to be in charge of pushing my career forward or having to go on stage alone, so it never would have happened.
Yeah, for sure. That was the stepping stone for me. Just having the courage when I was 15 to even go ask for drum lessons from our teacher. That was such an integral part of learning music and you know, having a core of friends when I didn't really have a lot of friends. Like it was like everything that I needed, and I don't think that I could have really gotten that anywhere else. So I think it was like the perfect timing and the perfect environment for that just worked out perfectly. And like our teacher was always so like inspiring us to collaborate and like
pushing us, forcing us.
And like it's different from like, you know, a normal music class, you know, you take guitar lessons or something and you're like, okay, these are the chords, like here's like a little practice song we'll do in a recital at the end of the term. But like this was like, we're gonna learn these songs and we're gonna play them on stage and we're gonna be rock stars. You know? Like
and you're all gonna play every instrument. You're all gonna pick the songs, teach each other how to learn it.
Yeah, so it's just like an actual like being pushed in a classroom setting to actually be
a band.
Yeah. And like that was not something that is really unique.
Yeah,
and
for
like,
sure.
Really, I think important for us.
Dreadlight would not be if it weren't for band projects.
Yeah, for sure.
So if music had never opened up as a possibility for you guys, what would have been your dream job instead?
Oh boy.
I have a lot of dreams, and I still want to do all the things. I want to be a musician and do all the dreams. I'm interested in a lot of different types of sciences. When I was a kid, I really wanted to be an archaeologist. That was super exciting to me. I wanted to be, an astronaut. I still want to do that. I don't think that's going to happen. I have a feeling it's probably too late for that.
Space travel is going to be a thing.
Yeah. I also really wanted to work with animals. I kind of wanted to like own an animal sanctuary, like a rehabilitation for wild animals.
Oh, yeah.
I could still do it.
I think for me, I was kind of, there's a lot of things. Like, I think around that time I was into like microbiology and like, I don't know, I wanted to be like a disease specialist.
Wow, disease specialist. We could be really useful right now.
Yeah. And then I was into dance for a while and I thought I was going to do that. I wanted to be a veterinarian for a while. And also like an architect at one point.
Ooh, I wanted that too.
Yeah.
I would like sketch out like blueprints of different houses, but they were like ridiculous. Like I had like a giant like cylindrical library that's like 10 stories tall with a pool on top. Like not really practical things, not really affordable things to build, but it was fun.
Yeah, I honestly don't know because like all of those were so long ago that like music has been the forefront for so long.
Right.
So it's really hard to say.
What I thought would be a good last question is, we've had this running question in our class of what is success and what does that mean to us? How do we define it, measure results? That was our first assignment, was to write that up. And then every guest speaker we've had so far, we've asked that. So figured I'd ask you, what does success mean to you guys?
Oh boy.
Gosh, it's funny you ask because I feel like that's been a reoccurring question, like in my family too, not in like a, how are you going to be successful kind of way, but genuinely, how do you define success for yourself? And I mean, like a logistical answer, a very logical answer is like, you know, to accurately complete your goal. But personally, right, like no matter what that goal is, and you can choose whatever that is. So for me in music, it's just finding something that, I don't know, continuing to learn about myself through music and to write and create and share that with people who want to hear it. Like that's success. Like it doesn't really matter, I guess, how much money I'm making. I'd love to be able to pay my bills with music, but like that's not really what I want out of it. And like I think that would ruin what I want out of it at all, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm chasing the money, then I'll lose the magic of the music, which is why I'm here in the first place. I could get money anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's just success in music is keeping that magic.
Nice. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think just success for me is living comfortably surrounded by people I love. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of different ways that I could see myself being successful, you know, like I'd love to always be making art and, you know, collaborating with like-minded people in a meaningful way, regardless of what that is. And like music is great because, you know, we've, you know, heard from people how it's been impactful for them, and that's like all I think both of us have wanted, you know. But yeah, just anything where I'm surrounded by core people that I love, and then also doing some sort of meaningful project, creative project with people collaboratively is success to me. I don't know.
I know, it's a really hard question.
Yeah, because like there's so many different ways I could see myself feeling successful, and like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'm fresh out of questions, so thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
been
this is so
awesome.
fun.
Yeah. Thank you for choosing us.
Yeah.
This was more interesting to me than like, because you go ask like a top artist, I feel like their answers might be a little detached from like
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
current time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got
So I
like
thought,
a
you know,
script almost.
Yeah.
Talking to a more grounded
Yeah.
artist would be a lot more interesting.
Nice. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This was really cool, and I think really eye-opening for me, because like so many of these questions I feel like I haven't really thought about either at all or in a long time. So
I
Yeah.
tried my best to pull good Sean Evans.
Yeah. Yeah. You did great.
yeah.
We just need hot wings.
Oh yeah, that's kicking in. That really gave me. Yeah, dude. I want to thank Toria and Kandra. Oh shit. They were great to work with. Really nice people, super cool. Son of a bitch. I think the reason that I just have hiccups now. This is great. I think the reason they kept complimenting my questions was my goal wasn't just to interview them; it was to learn from them. So, holy shit! I'll pin a comment with my reasoning behind each of the questions I asked them. But if there's one takeaway from this video, just please go listen to Dreadlight. They have great sound, killer music. Highly underappreciated. Please listen. Holy shit. Wow, yeah, no, this sucks. Yeah, okay, so if you'll excuse me, I have a 6-page paper to go right now with my mouth and stomach on fire, so thank you guys. Goodbye. The sole force in this world capable of overcoming any barriers. Fuck. Careers in music seemed like an obvious must-take course. Oh great, now there's a fucking plane. That's awesome. Just anything that can show up is doing it. And our big semester-long project for this club is to interview a music industry significant experience in our chosen field, and then write a 6-page, single-spaced... I had it. I was to the next cut. Son of a bitch. As soon as I emailed them, I was trying to work out... I should not have moved the chair. Fuck. I was nervous and awkward as shit throughout this whole thing, and it shows. You have my blessings to make... Yeah, that's in character. Apparently, I don't know how to hit record in OBS, and all I've got is Zoom... You have my blessings to rip me apart for it. No, there's a fucking helicopter. Dude. Two. Apparently I don't know how to hit record in OBS, and all I've got is a Zoom recording, and apparently I laugh out.
Recording in progress.
Oh, what a fun little sound it just made.
Oh.
Recording in progress.
Sorry in advance, this one's kind of like a run-on paragraph.
When I sit down and like I'm trying to write a guitar part.
Oh no, this happens. This is we're used to it.
Like band project.
What is that? I don't know.
Things are moving in here.
It's the ghost.
It's the ghost man.
Ghost man.
What was I saying?
I get one take at this. I don't care how bad I fuck up, I get one take at this and I'm not redoing it. For the first... Holy shit. The first couple seconds it's fine. It just keeps getting worse. This sucks. Honestly, not as bad as I was expecting it to be though.
Really?
The reaction was what I wanted, but the heat wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be. Yeah. There was a second where I was like, oh yeah, see, I'm fine now. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.